So yesterday we had this massive announcement for Football Manager. SI dropped their latest blog post on this year's upcoming game. It's a big boy, it's 2,800 words, and I'm not going to sit here and read it to you. I've already read it, I've already digested it, and we're going to go through and I'm going to talk about my highlights from this blog post, what I'm taking away from it, and my personal opinion on kind of what's in here and what I think that means for FM coming up. So on your screen right now you will be able to see the development update from Football Manager. Now, as I said, I'm not going to go through and read everything here, but what I've seen from Miles, who is the author, the guy who's in charge of Sports Interactive and in charge of Football Manager and developing it, they've kind of said here that this is the thing that I'm going to highlight: their interest in transparency. And obviously by putting out a 2,800 word article, this is a good level of transparency, and I'm actually really all for it. I actually think this is probably the most transparent they've ever been. Now, they've already released massive news, in my opinion, getting the Premier League licenses. I think that's going to be a huge addition for everyone on console, so that was massive as well. So if we go and scroll down a little bit, obviously this is where the development update starts. This is just about the version on PC, Mac, and console as well. There's no news on touch or mobile to come just yet. Hopefully that will come soon for those of you who play it, but I'm a PC player. I don't even play the console version, so hopefully this is cool and interesting for everyone. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is this one right here. So it says here, the next era. Basically, they're talking about the new era of Football Manager. For those of you who missed the original announcement, FM25 will be done on a brand new game engine. It will be done on Unity, which is used by other game developers out there. I know Fall Guys is definitely on Unity, as well as a couple of other high-profile games. So Football Manager are moving out of their own in-house built engine to build Football Manager, moving to a much more universally accepted and universally used match engine, and that is a massive step forward for the company. But this is the thing that I wanted to pull out of this section. In essence, FM25 is the starting point for the studio's next 20 years. So what you're going to see in FM25 and what you're going to see in this blog post today isn't going to be the finished article for this year. It isn't going to be the finished article for next year and then years to come. This is base one, foundation. Think FM05. That's the first edition of Football Manager that I played personally, FM05 to FM24. There's a vast difference over that timescale, and that is exactly what you're going to see here today. So going into the next section, SI reviewed the way that they approached everything. They broke it down to the start, and this is the line that I like in this from Miles. Would we do it again the same way if we had our time again? FM25 moving on to Unity was the perfect time for the studio to do that, so they took everything back to the building blocks. Would we do it the same way? Would everything look the same way? The answer was no. They built a lot of this stuff up from the ground up again to hopefully make everyone's lives easier, make interactions better, make you enjoy the game a little bit more. So hopefully this is kind of a key one, and hopefully we can kind of see that as they move forward, because I wouldn't expect every single feature to be completely stripped back and worked on for FM25. These things can be built in over time, over game cycles, or from game to game. And speaking of, this is where we move into the big updates for FM25. Okay, so we're going to start off with the things that they've actually removed from the game that will not be part of FM25. Starting things off, touchline shouts are no more. If you played in game, you've always tried the touchline shouts. I personally didn't think more than 3 of them worked anyway, but they've kind of said here they will not be in FM25. They like it as a feature. Miles does really want them to come back, but they will not be there at the start of FM25. They've kind of said here, basically, they wanted shouts to be instantaneous in Football Manager. They're not. You know, I know. You can see the players' reactions to them when they happen in game right now. You can do the shout, and then you need to wait until the actual in-game highlight ends, and then your shout takes place. I don't know how many times I've praised my team for being ahead just to try and keep the morale high. The highlight continues. We concede a goal. It's a draw. I praise the team. Everyone's confused. It impacts things, or at least I think it impacts things. This will no longer be a thing in FM25. Moving on to the next one, it is the social media screen and the data chalkboard. They've tried to streamline the UX and the UI of this year's upcoming game. We'll talk about the UI in a minute, but these are some of the screens that have kind of made way to allow work on other stuff. So basically the social media screen, I don't use it, don't know if you do. That is going for this year's game. We've also got the data chalkboard, which I actually had to ask people how to find this because one, I've never used it. I don't know if you guys have used it. I know people use it for like data-driven recruitment. That's cool. I knew where it was in the in a player search screen. I didn't know where to actually find the data for my current team. So again, as you can see, the usage of this after the introduction of the data hub has dropped from 10% to below 1%. So they didn't see that this was a feature that needed to move forward, obviously with the addition of the data hub a couple of FMs ago. Then they start to remove modes, ladies and gentlemen. So creator club, versus mode, and challenge mode, which is a mode for console touch and stuff like that. I've never seen challenge mode on PC because it's not present. It doesn't exist on PC and Mac, but those versions or those editions of the game are going. They've seen creator club, which is their second most popular mode after the normal game, do really well. They want to bring it back. They've listed it here as a FM26 feature, but that clearly shows that it will not be in FM25. Versus mode, which they released for FMFC, that's dropped off as well. Been played by 0.5% of the player base. This is where you could extract a team from your save, go head-to-head against another person. I've done a couple of these on stream, but I know this isn't a mode that's widely adapted. And then obviously, yeah, with challenge mode, we have kind of touched on. I've never played it. It's not on the PC version. Is what it is. Okay, now this is the biggie for me. I love a fantasy draft. At one point, I was the #1 ranked drafter in the world for Football Manager a couple of games ago, having won the playoffs. We've all watched the FM Streamer Showdown when that was going on. Fantasy draft is not going to be in the game at the start of FM25. They do say in this article that they do want to bring it back, but this is where the big news comes. So Football Manager have announced a partnership with FIFA E. Yes, not the game, the governing body. Yes, they have partnered with FIFA's esports brand to come up with a Football Manager tournament. Yes, they are putting on a live Football Manager tournament to test the waters to see if this could be a e-sport. So they're hosting it this year in Liverpool, 29th of August to the 1st of September, using FM24. Now, basically, players can compete to represent their nation. I don't know how they're going to do this. There are links here to the FIFA E website where you can sign up and put your name forward so that you can get updates on how to qualify for this. But they are running out of time. They don't have a lot of time to pick people. So fingers crossed that they can actually give you guys an opportunity to represent your country or whatever, because there is a $100,000 prize money pool for the winner of this competition. $100,000 for playing Football Manager and being good at it. Now, I think I'm pretty good at Football Manager, so I signed up to this. Hopefully you guys can do so and maybe you can move on forward. They do go on to say that this is effectively a test run for something that they will look to do in FM25. They say it's a FIFA E World Cup 2025 of Football Manager using this new draft mode, which they do want to bring back later in the game cycle. So again, some very good opportunities here. So we've spoken enough about the stuff that's not going to be in the game and also about the FIFA World Cup. Let's talk about the stuff that is going to be in game. Now, this is the brand new year that it's on Unity. This is the time where everything gets a complete revamp. This is the big thing that I wanted to see. The UI of this game for me has been stale for a number of years now, and I'm hoping this was the year that we took a massive step forward. They talk about the UX and the UI here. Obviously, UI user interface, UX is user experience. So the UI is how things look and the UX is how you use them. That is kind of what they're talking about here. And they're trying to make it better in that Unity engine. So then we're going to move forward a little bit further. If we go down and introducing tiles and cards, this is their new way of doing things. Basically, you can see here, you can see the different ways that they are going to, let me just zoom that back out. You can see the different ways that they are going to display information. You can see here, this is how the last 5 matches looks in all of these different tiles. So you can see different levels of data depending on the size of that. The idea would be with this, once you click on things, like if you click on this last 5 matches here, you can see everything's pretty solid, average rating of 8. You click on it, it brings up the information so that you can see everything that is related to that last 5 matches. Much the same here. If you click on this small version here, the idea would be that you would see something like this one at the bottom. Now, I do stress, this is a work in progress. It's taken from a design file. It's not even part of the build yet, so this is still something that they are working on. So there will be improvements, and I'm sure when you guys give feedback to this sort of stuff, you will see these changes come in as and when they do. But this is kind of where they're looking right now. It's looking very Tato skin to me. I like the contrast of the grays with the darker colors as well. It's very much what I would prefer when I'm looking at this game, to be perfectly honest. Then if we scroll down, you can see something else a little bit more. Again, you can see the last 5 matches. Once it pulls that information to you, you can see a little bit more detail around the positions played, any goals scored, any assists, any substitutions. Again, it really just gives you that little bit extra, and you can also see the stuff that goes with that, like the expected playing time for the player, and then their season stats as well to expand on things more than those last 5 matches. It looks like this is going to be something that pops up and you are able to close, much like you would on a normal browser. You can close this information when you've seen enough of it. Again, this is all work in progress, but I actually think this is quite a nice stride forward, that they are serving you information so that you can make the best decisions as a manager, because that's kind of what you need to do as a football manager. The next thing is that they have removed the inbox. Time has moved on since emails. You now have a messaging system, it looks like, for this year's Football Manager. Now, I've seen a lot of feedback around this online and saying that it looks like a mobile game. Obviously, I think this is really stripped back, and actually I think from a base level I do like it. But I will be honest with you guys, personally, I was a little bit underwhelmed when I saw this blog post. I don't know if this is because of what my partner Louise does as a job. She is a UX UI designer, so I see stuff like this a lot from her. And personally, I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I am a little bit underwhelmed. I will talk about this a little bit more on stream and stuff like that. But this is the new portal. This will be like your new homepage. The tabs to the left-hand side have all gone by the looks of things. And then there's different sections along the top. You've got a squad section, recruitment, on the pitch, club, and profile. Now, you can see here, we're not being given all of the screens. They're not blowing their load in one go, giving you everything in one sitting. They do want to keep some of this information back, which I completely understand. Obviously, we've not seen anything of the squad screen, the tactics screen, etc. All of this good stuff to come, hopefully. And again, this is a work in progress. But yeah, for me, I'm just a little bit underwhelmed. You can kind of see everything that you want to see. I don't know. Let me know what you think of this down in the comment section. But as I say, a little bit underwhelmed for me. And then they've shown another little bit of this kind of UI tweak. This is what the game will look like, or this is what an in-game will look like. You can see the tactics and subs. You've got instructions there. You've got your mentality like balance. You can see the different widgets, shall I say, or the different tiles that you've got here. Man City's formation, Brighton's formation, the match stats. I've seen a 2D representation of this on screen, and I've seen people say, oh my God, does this mean now they've moved to a new match engine that it won't be in 3D? I will be astonished if there's not a 3D match engine. So that's all I'm going to say. I think this is just a representation for you guys to see the dots move around when you're not actually in a highlight. That's all I think it is. You can keep a track of everything on the top level, but I will flash up a screen of a base version of FM24 right now to see what this screen looks like, maybe as a side-by-side. I don't know what editor Connor's going to do with it, but it's a vast improvement. Whilst I said I was underwhelmed on some of the other stuff, for me, this is a vast improvement. Obviously, we've seen different mods and different skins come out that make this game look a little bit better aesthetically. For this to be the base version of the game, I'm happy with it, but as I said, on the overall, little bit underwhelmed on some of the UI changes, but they're not the finished versions of this just yet. And the last thing I want to talk about in this section is how you guys can help. Now, obviously everyone is going to sign up for the 100k tournament, because why wouldn't you? But this is where you can actually help the development of the game and help shape things. They're offering external testing. Now, from my understanding, I don't think they've ever done this. Obviously, SI have their own in-house testers, But this is where you guys can come in and you can register your interest to go to SI's offices. I've been there before. It's really cool. And you can basically go and test the game, the UX and the UI, and see how it functions from a player's perspective. They can get as much interest as they can in-house, but this is where you guys can actually register your interest. You need to be an FMFC member. There's a link in the blog to sign things up, to sign yourself up now, to make sure that you get the opportunity to say, yes, Miles, I would like to come in. I would like to test it. I imagine you're going to be under some form of NDA that you're not going to be able to talk about it. But ultimately, you can go in and shape how this game looks, how this game functions, and you can be a part of that process. Because I actually think you're basically going to have to relearn the game where everything is, because it's kind of been the same for the last 4 or 5 years. This is going to be a brand new experience. So that is the latest blog update from Sports Interactive on FM25. And for the most part, I'm actually really excited about this year's game. I think some of the streamlining stuff that they have done, actually removing stuff from the game, is of benefit. I think in the long run, it will allow the studio to have been focused on the key things to make FM25 better. The announcement of the partnership with FIFA E is really, really cool as well, offering your average Joe player the opportunity to win 100k for playing Football Manager is absolutely nuts. Having these real life in-person events again could be really, really cool, getting people like in the creator scene to come and commentate on things maybe, but actually giving everybody a fair shot to kind of get into stuff would be really cool. Not everybody's going to get part of the Streamer Showdown. I've not been part of the Streamer Showdown. In terms of the UX UI changes, as I said earlier, I am a little bit underwhelmed. Hopefully they can kind of develop things a little bit more. I like where they're going with it in terms of the simplistic idea of it. Has the execution been flawless? For me, no. But obviously there is still plenty of time. I am recording this at the end of June. The game's probably not going to come out in early access until the end of October. So there's still ample time for the team to work on this in the studio. And I'm sure you guys giving your feedback to this blog post, to things on social media, will really help shape how this game develops. I'm sure there's more to come. The Premier League licenses caught me off guard. Hopefully, as I said, there is a lot more to come. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Hopefully this was a little bit quicker than you guys reading it, and hopefully I'd look forward to hearing your comments down below. I will be in the comment section. Let me know what you think of this blog update. But until next time, guys, take care. See you soon.